All right. Okay. Hello.
Hello. That almost worked, except I forgot.
Yeah. We tried. Yeah.
Welcome everyone to today Innovation Coffee. This is episode 1, and it's embedded programming with SparkFun. It's going to be an awesome episode today. Robert, we've got a lot of stuff planned.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, super excited here, Alessandro. Let's do our traditional cheers here. Do I have to go to the right side? Clink. There you go. Welcome everyone to hashtag Innovation Coffee. We have a lot of really interesting things to share. As Alessandro mentioned, SparkFun is on the call today. I am so excited. For those of you who stick around, we have some surprises. Alessandro, do we want to go straight into the introductions, or what's the plan?
Yeah, so I'm just going to say a couple of words what we're going to talk about. So we're going to introduce our special guest, talk about SparkFun a little bit, and talk about his personal history and how he got to SparkFun. And then we're going to talk to some other special guests from SparkFun that will actually show some really interesting demos with the new board that was just released yesterday. So I'm really excited to see how the new board is actually in action, how it actually looks when the LEDs are blinking. So and then, yeah, as Robert said, stay tuned until the end because we've got some surprises. And yeah, without further ado, I think we should introduce our first guest. Let's bring it on. So we've got Kirk Benno, CTO of SparkFun, on the show today. Hi, Kirk.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing? Or good afternoon. I don't know where you guys are. Greetings from Colorado. We have big coffee cups here, so cheers.
Cheers down low. Clink, clink.
Great to be here this morning.
It's exciting to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. So we have some really exciting things to talk about, and let's just jump on in.
Absolutely. So let's start by introducing yourself, who you are, what you do at SparkFun, and more interestingly, actually, why SparkFun? Why did you choose to work for SparkFun?
Yeah, Kirk Benno. I'm the CTO of SparkFun. It sounds important, but it's really just overseeing the product team. So our engineering team, we have a part of the team that does like documentation and software. Also oversee IT. We're a small company, so our website, we have a web store, oversee that too. And have been at SparkFun about 3 years, and really chose SparkFun because they do great parts and pieces and sensors and really cool innovative things. And they're close to where I live. I grew up around here, and it's just an exciting company. And it's been a fun 3 years. The company's been around about 16, 17 years. Started at the University of Colorado in Boulder by Nate, and Nate still works at SparkFun. He runs our SparkX organization, kind of an R&D group, and does a lot of innovation there too. And all together, that we work together closely with Nate and bring all these crazy, exciting products to the market, including what we'll be talking about a little bit today. For me, before SparkFun, my background actually is, I guess, somewhat interesting. I learned electronics way back when in the Cold War. Did electronics on a nuclear submarine, of all things. So I didn't mention that earlier, but then moved into defense and intelligence, scientific computing, remote sensing, doing machine learning before it was called machine learning, and it was kind of CTO over various organizations there. But I've always been intrigued by that boundary between hardware and software, getting down to looking at the bits. And that's what drives me and really lets me get excited about embedded software development. It reminds me of computing in the late 80s, early 90s. There weren't all these fancy stacks and software things. It was like, you got to get to the bits, you got to talk to the sensor, and do some interesting solutions. And that's what drove me to look at SparkFun and all the things that are happening in the industry today. And it's an exciting time embedded. I mean, good God, we're talking about machine learning on embedded solutions. Unbelievable. And all the IoT stuff and all the inexpensive sensors. It's just a crazy, exciting, fun time to be in this market. And I feel very fortunate to be at SparkFun, and we're excited on the stuff we're bringing to the market. And some of the stuff we'll talk about today, and there's more to come. We have some incredible things coming up in the future, but I can't talk about or I'll get in trouble. But I don't want to get in trouble. But that's a little bit about me. And as we get more into what SparkFun's doing today, we'll tell a little bit more about some of the things in the background that we do at the company.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I didn't know about the nuclear submarine. That's an interesting story, interesting background. And you mentioned that you also, like, your background is really more software, right? And
Yes.
we talked about how machine learning is coming to this world of devices, right? And I think as you said, it's super exciting, and there are a lot of opportunities ahead for all of us, I think. But what's interesting, and I think we had a chat about this offline, about the fact that software is becoming more and more a thing, right? Like in the embedded world, people are actually kind of becoming more like software engineers, right? And I wanted to get your thoughts on that and share with us your view.
Absolutely. When you look at what's happening in the embedded world and the capabilities of these, these MCUs, these processors, and the needs from these, doing IoT and various sensors, the software becomes a critical part of that, to put the solutions together. I mean, the latest Teensy runs at 600 megahertz. I mean, on an embedded system, are you kidding me? But it has all these resources, and even our Artemis modules and some of the mainstream solutions have the capability to do really high-end things with software on board, and the development environments have come a long way. As we'll talk about a little later with like Mbed Studio and the capabilities you guys bring to the market. You have really easy to use access to like a full debugger if your board supports it. So you can really do hardcore software development and not just be stuck printing out print statements from a serial monitor somewhere and really trying to struggle. So that's all come together, the resources on the board, the capabilities of the board, the more advanced sensors, the more advanced software stacks, to really make it a very interesting and exciting time to develop solutions, software and hardware solutions together, to bring products to market. And it's easier to do, and yet it's harder to do because it becomes more complex. So, like all software, it's layers, and you're just building on layers, and those layers are not coming in embedded systems to do more advanced things, more communicative mesh networks, IoT networks, just machine learning while connecting to an IoT network. And we in SparkFun, part of this project we'll talk about in a little bit is we've made an investment in software in SparkFun. So before it was primarily a hardware company doing hardware designs. The engineers would do the code to kind of communicate with a device or sensor or port Arduino over, but we never made a strategic investment in software. As part of this project, we'll talk a little bit later, we actually have a dedicated software team, and they focus on developing software solutions for our products. And where customers will see that is higher level solutions, code consistency, things that are bug fixes are done quickly, things that aren't just tied to a board, but more expansive to more of an ecosystem as we grow forward. So we'll talk about some things a little bit today, but in the longer term, going forward, you'll see more software, more value in our products at that layer from SparkFun. And like everything else we do, it's all open source. We put it up on GitHub. We love to work with the community. It's very important for our company, and kind of one of the founding principles of SparkFun is everything's open source. Yes, expect more and exciting things from us. But I'm not here to talk about that today. Talk about some other stuff.
That's super exciting for me to hear. When hardware companies start to focus more on software enablement, right? Even my previous company, when we were I was with 96 boards, and we had this whole portfolio of hardware devices, right? But people would always come and say, yeah, but what's the stack look like? What kind of software is enabled on there? How's the kernel? So I love hearing, when hardware companies start to look into the software side of things. So that's nice to hear.
It's been exciting. There were, I'll be honest, like any change in an organization, there's some little like, are we doing this? But we've done it. We're getting great results. We've switched over our internal operations to more agile-based, software-based, because we do, hardware we develop is done pretty quickly. And that's all working quite well, coming together great. The teams we have, the engineers, everybody else are doing a fantastic job. And you'll from a customer standpoint, you see it because you see all these products come out of SparkFun. Every week, we try to get a product out, and it's kind of a this velocity release schedule we have, but we're able to do it because we're doing modern technology. We're talking to everybody. We're combining software and hardware, and looking beyond just a single board. Instead of just like, here's a board. Well, how does this board work together with everything else? How does it all fit together? How does it work with our favorite ARM processor? How does it work with other things like a Raspberry Pi? So it's gone beyond just a single focus. We still focus on the board, but we're looking beyond that. And again, that gives consistency, interoperability, and success for our customers. And we want, at the end of the day, we want everybody to be successful because that's how our success happens.
I think the Artemis, right? Like this is going to be the topic of discussion today, the Artemis, right? The Artemis is kind of a perfect example of this, at least from what I've noticed. You have these 3 different IDE/OS SDKs that you can use on this board. You're already expanding to multiple communities, enabling all sorts of developers to utilize this device. And so I'm excited to start diving into this. Are we gonna hear more about this Artemis now?
Yeah,
absolutely. Let's jump in.
Yeah, I think you mentioned to kind of build on what Robert was saying. You mentioned that it's awesome that all these communities are collaborating, and there's all this collaboration in open source, right? And I think let's talk about Artemis and how you've kind of worked with ARM around the open source OS, right? So Mbed, it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on the story there, and the kind of behind the scenes, what happened.
Absolutely, I'll expose some hidden secrets, or how we did this. But Artemis came out of a collaboration we did with Arm, which is their Apollo 3 Blue MCU we use in Artemis. Google and TensorFlow, Pete Warden, if you know Pete, and then Nate and our team to come together to really have the first TensorFlow port, tinyML, to a commercial available board. And we did that late 2018, early 2019. And the boards, we did this edge board, we called it, had a microphone, you could have a camera, accelerometer, and we did machine learning. You were doing some neural net inferencing on a microcontroller, which again, shocking to me. And from there, we did that board, we released it, and we came up with the idea, and kind of Nate ran with it. Let's make a module out of that MCU. So we called it Artemis, and it's a little package you can kind of see on this board. And we put my Artemis together. We got it FCC certified, which is the first for SparkFun, through the entire process, and started making boards with it. And we released it last year, and it had Arduino support and also a low-level support. So Apollo or Ambik releases an SDK, very low level. So if you like to get your hands dirty, you like very verbose steps, it's perfect. But for a lot of our customers, it wasn't. So we have an Arduino. We did an Arduino port. Let me get my layers straight here. And the one thing we didn't have, we released it, was really easy to use Bluetooth. And we started looking at it, and it's like, oh gosh, Bluetooth's kind of hard. Wow, it's really complicated. So we made a decision. We needed an RTOS, someone, a mid-layer, that could really provide the Bluetooth support we had. And we looked at what's available. We wanted someone that was supported and actively developed. We wanted someone that had good IDEs, good tools, well used, had to be open source, and it really came down to it. We saw Mbed OS as our solution, and it also had been ported before, used as a back layer for Arduino. I think some of the Arduino boards went that route. So we decided to go forward with Mbed OS and do an Mbed OS port to Artemis to provide our Bluetooth support. And it wasn't as easy as we thought, in that I had to set up a software team. So the software was fine. It was just, we had this big move in SparkFun. We had to kind of change the direction a little bit. It was exciting. We've got a great development team, and they've spent this year working hard to port Mbed OS to our Artemis module. And that's what we're really announcing today, is that we finished that port. It just got merged. The pull request just got merged into Mbed, I think last night. So nothing like, a last minute timing. Deadlines always are great to get things done. And it brings great solutions for us. We built a new version of Arduino on top of this Mbed OS solution. It's a better overall Arduino experience. We now have a true RTOS development experience for our developers. So if they really want to get low level and really get down to threading or multiple tasks, they can now do that with Mbed OS and Mbed Studio or command line, and it's all there and it's all open source. And part of that release we did is a new board, which I have here. It's called the Artemis Dev Kit, and it's designed to do Mbed development. So it's got an extra MCU on here to do provide. You see that? Can you click in line? Ooh, this went up live on our website last night. Here's kind of a prototype version of it. So this has an added MCU, so you can do debugging, real-time debugging with the Mbed Studio. You can actually have some machine learning sensors on here. So there's a camera connector, has an accelerometer, a microphone, has all the pinouts. It's really easy to use. I mean, there's everything you would expect: drag and drop, flashing, constant output from serial.
So Kirk,
this available? Yes.
Sorry, I have some questions here because some things that you've already covered. Which one was the certification, right? And
yes.
So I want to dive into the certification, and then of course kind of move into all these sensors that are on the board, right? Because from my understanding, it's FCC, IC, CE certifications, and is that on just the module, like the Artemis module, or is that on the entire board itself?
So the certification is just on the module, and we've put this module on the different footprint boards. So we've got like a Arduino Nano, R3, a Mega, which we call ATP, all the points. So we put it in various locations. We sell the module. We make it, we build it in-house in SparkFun, but it's also on this development kit too. So, but the FCC is just for the module, the Artemis module.
Okay, cool. So people can kind of like take this device, right, with all the sensors and connectors that you've included on this new developer kit, and then maybe test out some things, then buy the module and build out whatever they want, right? That's kind of the whole idea.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
It's just another path forward for our customers to go from prototype, R&D, to production. So that's one of the things that's important for SparkFun, is we enable engineers, researchers, makers to come up and build their thing, some idea, realize their solution quickly because of the hardware, software, and documentation that we provide. And then we want to help them get to production. How can you get to production quicker?
Alessandro and I have had lots of discussions on this whole kind of path to product model, right? Like how can makers or developers get their hands on something and then take their ideas to product? Now, I'm kind of curious, does SparkFun kind of have any other in-between steps that they can offer to developers? Kind of, they've now consumed your developer kit, they've created something. Is there an entity within SparkFun that kind of helps that next step or push the developer to the next step of production?
Absolutely. We have a services group, a services team, do different services. SparkFun, it's all in one. So we do our own manufacturing, our own shipping, our fulfillment, supply chain, all in the same building, except now. But it is now, but most of us are at home. And if customers need help with that, they can contact us, and we can help them realize further solutions down the production chain or the path to product. And we're continually developing other concepts to help support that going forward, and maybe some more stuff along that later in the year. But yes, we want to help people be successful. That's part of our mantra as a company, is how can we get you to where you need to be quickly, and not just for us, but the community. Everybody, as we do this, we let everybody know how we're doing it. We're very open, and hopefully make people successful.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear.
Yeah. Awesome. And then you mentioned. Oh, go ahead, Alexandra.
No, I was just going to say. I mean, it's awesome.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's really cool. I was actually shocked by the size of the camera. It's super tiny, and it's really cool.
Yeah. So this this is a prototype. So this is the one they gave me until 2 days ago. But we have a camera connection on board, so you can do machine learning. There's an example to do person detection. So the models are developed for that. There's an accelerometer, so you can actually do motion. We had a demo, and we showed this demo at an Arm Dev Summit last year. Computer history museum. You do like a magic wand, and you can do different. It was a big hit. I didn't think so, but I'm too old to understand how this works or why people get excited about it. But like a Harry Potter wand, everybody loves it. You probably sold more boards for that than anything else. Maybe not. And then also there's a microphone. And this was the first demo we showed. And the microphone, you can do voice, keyword recognition. So like if you said Alexa or whatever. And the initial demo, this is my life a little bit. Last year when we were doing the prototype with Google, it was basically a yes or no. The keywords were yes or no. And the developers were about 20 feet from my office. And for days, all you would hear is yes, 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 as they try to get everything working. But that's all on this board. And also it connects to our Quick system. You can kind of see this here. And this is an I2C based system. We have about 80 to 90, almost over 100 boards now to support this. And again, it's just for quick plug and play. So if I have an environmental combo sensor here, you can just plug it in, no soldering, and you can start, looking at pressure, temperature with this. And we have, like I said, many from like relays, all kinds of crazy sensors. But this board provides it all. And again, it's all part of that solution that gets you into the ecosystem, and you can start jumping into machine learning quite quickly.
Awesome. It's time. I think you mentioned about the reason why you looked at Mbed, the BLE stack, right? How interesting or how easy to use the BLE stack was, right? So
Absolutely.
I think if I remember correctly, we've got some live action here, and I think let's bring in, I guess, our other guests. So let's bring in Owen, also known as Liquid Solder. Hey, Owen.
Owen.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
How are you?
Owen.
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you guys are looking for some cool demonstrations of BLE and things on the new Artemis module.
Yeah, let's also bring in Kyle though first. So let's bring. Hey, Kyle.
Hey,
Kyle.
how's it going?
Embedded software engineer at SparkFun. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
So this is our software team. It's early, so they're still waking up because they're software people.
It's only 11.
So there's a demo coming up, right? I was hoping real quick. I don't know, Alessandro, do we have time to let them introduce themselves real quick? Little origin story.
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So maybe we start with Owen if we can do that. Owen, you want to go first, and then we'll move on to Kyle.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Who are you? What do you do?
All right. Well, my name's Owen. I've been working with SparkFun for 2 years, a little bit longer than that. And my origin story was a whirlwind. It was really crazy because I came from no technical experience. In high school, I had never taken a computer course or electronics or anything like that. In college, though, I got the awesome opportunity to work on two things. One was a freshman project where we created a camera pointing platform on a balloon sat and used an Arduino for the first time ever for me. And that totally got me hooked. I was so interested in the fact that I could create whatever I wanted that could do anything and think and take sensor readings and make things happen in the world. So I just embarked on this awesome electronics journey. And my next project was to build an LED cube, one of those 8x8x8 three-dimensional LED structures. It was really cool. I was playing with MOSFETs and these different serial drivers and Pis and Arduinos and just everything awesome. That got me so hooked, and throughout college I just kept working on those skills. Any free time I had, I was working on it. And then I finally got the chance to go work with SparkFun when I graduated, and that was like my dream job because all I wanted to do was come back and contribute to those people who had been there the entire way through the journey for me, because I was always going to SparkFun for tutorials and, how do I design a circuit board? There was a time when I picked up another project and I wanted to build my own product, and they had the tutorial on Eagle that got me started. So getting on board with SparkFun and being able to produce new products and put that documentation back in the community was awesome. And there also, it's really been just a continual journey of support and feeding back, because now we have the SparkFun forums, and I'm always on there trying to help people out with the Artemis product, because that has been, over the past year and a half, my main focus at SparkFun is developing the Apollo 3 Blue microcontroller support in Arduino, and with more professional command line tools, different tool chains and everything. So yeah, you can find me on the SparkFun forums at Liquid Solder. And I guess that's basically how we got to here today.
Liquid Solder, I heard you have a nice following on the forums too. Like maybe a lot of the guests on YouTube are actually here to see you.
That would be surprising to me, but I would be honored. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Cool.
They want to see his hair.
We'll get to see that, right, at some point.
Right. That's the surprise at the end of the live stream.
That's one of them.
Gotta stay to the end for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also originally developed the kind of internal tool board that morphed into this Artemis Dev Kit board. It was originally there just to help me and Kyle working on Mbed and passing Mbed testing. But from there, it evolved, and we thought this would be a really fantastic product to make it really easy for users to flash their programs over USB and to have an onboard debugger built in. So yeah, I'm
Awesome.
happy to be here to share it with everybody.
I think we actually have the kind of prototype board as well, right?
Yeah.
Earlier, Kyle, you have it, right?
Yeah, I mean, so Owen built the very first version right after this. This is kind of the first version that we started with, getting all the Mbed examples going, and being able to run the different Mbed tools. And then from there, we decided this was a little too difficult to work with, and we kind of made our own board just for us, where we broke all the pins to different sensors, and everything else we broke out to these little pins. And then from there, we just decided it was something that we liked enough to kind of try and push it out of the product. So
that's a really interesting story. I mean, personally, it's quite cool to see two young developers actually come up with an idea, test it out, make it work, and then actually propose the product to management, right? Like SparkFun is a big company, and it's quite cool to see how like this product just came out of your ideas, right? And
one of SparkFun's amazing qualities is just a free flow of ideas. We've got people who are working in production and shipping and product services and engineering, and we're all thinking of ideas all the time, and those products oftentimes do become a reality. It's really great to be part of that, and happy to have a couple products out there that have stemmed from that kind of origin.
Cool. Right. So I think we're ready for seeing the new board in action.
All right.
Yeah, who's first?
I think I was probably going to go first, or were you going to go first, Owen?
I think Kyle should go first.
Yeah.
Provides good context.
So real quick, it would really help, I think, our viewers if you gave a little bit of a breakdown. So I think number one is, of course, we know you're using the Artemis. Maybe give the breakdown on the hardware, give the breakdown on maybe your development environment, right? Because you did use either Linux or Windows or Mac OS, whatever you used.
Right.
Some of your dependencies, and then we can kind of dive in, right? Because I know that this board is capable of doing the Arm Mbed OS. You also have the Arduino IDE, and you have the MBIC, right? So maybe you can kind of give the breakdown from top down there.
Yeah, sure thing. So I can go ahead and just demonstrate or point out the different pieces of hardware on this board. The main star is right here, the Artemis module, which is that silver thing with the blue line. The blue line is the Bluetooth antenna. And then second to that, they're like kind of co-hosts in their own show over here. this guy is a NXP Cortex M0 chip. It does the USB interface to the Artemis module, which allows you to program over serial single wire debug and JTAG protocols. You can flash the chip. You can do single step debugging with open source software like PyOCD. And also this allows you to run the Mbed test suite to verify the Mbed OS support. Then we also have some sensors built in here for machine learning. Right here, you've got an accelerometer, the small black square there, and then you've also got the microphone, which is a digital microphone right above it. And then lastly, we have this camera here, which takes images facing out this way. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see there. Tiny little camera with very advanced features. It's a brand new part from Hymax Imaging, and it allows us to do things like person detection or object detection using TensorFlow. And then, of course, this being a development kit, it's meant to make it really easy to use and to develop your own software. So we broke out a lot of pins over on this side with lots of ground rows and places for test points to hook on. So actually those plated through hole connections that you can see shining, those are all identical to the pins that they're next to, and they provide a nice little spot for test probes to pinch on. And then up in this corner, a nice little convenient reset button. You can see there's the reset. Yeah, and on the back, a nice little pin map. This just makes it easy to see some of the commonly used peripherals, where they're broken out, what pins they're available on. So that's the hardware system of the Artemis Dev Kit. That's what we want to use for people to easily develop their products, their physical connections and things like that. Then as far as the software stack goes, actually, I think Alessandro alluded to the fact that there are 3 main IDEs that we can actually use. And they all stack from one to another, sequentially building additional features and capabilities. So you start on one side with the Ambic Suite SDK, which is provided by Ambic Micro. They're the company that has produced the Apollo 3, and they provide a lot of convenient access to peripheral features like the SPI ports, UART ports, timers, everything that you'd expect on there, including BLE. Then in the center, we've got more of the Mbed Development Studio, and this is where we add on all the standardized interfaces for I2C, things like that that can exist in examples written by many people across the internet and also supported on lots of different targets. So not only does the Mbed I2C example run on the STM boards and the NXP boards and all those other targets, but now it also runs on the Artemis Apollo 3 Ambic Micro boards. And then the final solution on the far side is the Arduino environment. That's what we use for the beginner and most rapidly prototyping area. It's very easy because no matter what platform you're on, Windows, Linux, or oh my goodness, Mac, right? No matter what OS your computer's running on, just the Arduino environment's always the same and dead simple. So it's a really good place to start out. And we've covered all 3 of those with this Artemis Dev Kit and the other Artemis products that SparkFun supports.
So I did want to address, there was a question in the chat that asked, why no JTAG connector? So there is a JTAG connector. Right now, there's a JTAG connector connected to each of the processors. The one that'd be more relevant would probably be the one connected to the Artemis module. Right now, the interface chip functions as a JTAG connector for it, but if you want to program it yourself, you can always, there's a jumper that you can cut. Yeah, you can hold that back up. There's a jumper that you can cut, and you can put your own JTAG connector on. If you want to point towards the connector.
Yeah, so there's a clock line that you can cut here that will basically sever the connection between the interface chip and the Artemis module, and then you can use this 5x2 header right here to connect with an SWD protocol. And we also have the similar header on this side for the interface chip if you ever need to upgrade the interface firmware, the underlying bootloader on that interface chip.
Another thing I wanted to bring up, actually, someone mentioned or made me realize actually that there is a really interesting piece on this board. So there is actually a button, 45 degrees. The reset button is actually set 45 degrees. I just realized it now. I went to check it because I was like, what?
Alessandro, how does it feel when you press that? Because I hope that it feels really nice.
It feels really nice.
Yeah, there's just the right amount of space for your thumb or your finger. You can kind of give it the old, oh, sorry, it's totally off screen, but grab it by the corner there and press reset, or if you're left-handed, grab it this way.
Yeah, the UX team spent months figuring out the angle of that button, right? And it's important. Well, at least, yeah, it's important. Anyway,
one of our favorite guests here, RJ, is ordering this board today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's excited.
Yeah,
awesome.
Can't wait to get your feedback on it.
Yeah, don't order it now. Wait another 10, 20 minutes, and we'll have something else to help you order with. Right?
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler. Yeah. Sorry.
Real quick, there's a question here about the Ambik Suite SDK. Should we take that one now, or will you be going into this at all in the demo?
Yeah, I think we can take it now.
Take it now?
Yeah.
So this is from iShotJR. He's saying, what version of this SDK does it use?
Well, that's interesting because the hardware hasn't changed. The Apollo 3 microcontroller is the same no matter what. There are slightly different silicon revisions, but that's, I think, getting a little bit too into the weeds. So this is compatible with any version of the SDK, and as the SDK grows and evolves, it will, those changes will be able to work with these boards. And in fact, we have also been maintaining a kind of open source mirror of the Ambik Suite SDK, in which we are logging bugs and issues, and we're providing patches for things that we have identified. So that's something we want to increase visibility for, because that way Ambik can refer to it and hopefully incorporate some of those fixes, and we can all work together.
And that copy that we have is kind of based off of the 2.42 version of the Ambik Suite SDK.
Yeah, which is, as far as I know, it's the latest version that has been released by Ambik.
Hopefully that answers your question, iShotJR, another one of our frequent guests here. So good question.
Awesome. Well, I think we're ready for actually seeing this. Sorry, Robert.
That's okay. We both have control over these things.
Well,
so sometimes you'll see the cameras move in and out real quick. But
yeah, so I think who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go first.
Kyle.
Let me get that screen share going.
Yep, let's get that. There we go.
All right. So I think the first thing I wanted to show, I think some of your viewers might be more familiar with it, but just how to set up a project in the Mbed Studio to work with the Artemis Dev Kit. So if you have the Mbed Studio downloaded, right now you can create a new example. So it has some sample projects for you. I'll just go ahead and do another Blinky example. And right now you can choose if you want to store a new copy of Mbed locally, or if you want to use an existing one. I'll use an existing one. I think we mentioned for the next week, the next version of Mbed will have our Artemis Dev Kit and all our Artemis boards in it. But right now, if you want to try it out, you'll have to grab our fork of Mbed and download it, and then just link to it here. So if you do that, I'll try and keep this pretty short here, just because I know we're already kind of running low on time. We got a bunch of examples that we could go through, but it'll come up with an example, and all you got to do is just go to the side over here. It should detect it. If it doesn't, you can go ahead and just select. I'll show you later, and then there's a build and a run button. So I just went ahead and did run, and it'll build real fast. So I think while that's building, something I wanted to talk about is just the different tool chains that are supported. I think some of the people who were kind of following along when this was being developed knew that you could build projects from the command line, and now you can build them within Mbed Studio. So either one of those that you prefer, you can use. And then it also supports the GCC toolchain, and it supports the ARMC6 compiler, which is what I'm using right now in this example.
Yeah.
So I'll let this blast through real fast. The ARMC6 compiler is pretty fast when it's building these examples, but it's got to build the whole embed.
So I just want to remind everyone who's watching right now, if you have any questions for our guests, please feel free to post them in the chat. There's some cool things that are going to be happening, and we are keeping an eye on that. So if you have questions, please feel free to bring them up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Owen.
No worries. I was just going to a quick comment about the fact that it's very nice to have this Mbed Studio IDE because it simplifies the whole process, allows you to get up and started with projects very quickly.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask, how did you find it? How was it to actually port your software to the Mbed IDE, Mbed Studio? Sorry.
Did you want to do that, Owen, or do you want me to do it?
No, actually, I think you'd be much more prepared.
Yeah. I guess all I was going to say is once we got our target ported, we started out using the command line interface, and once we got that going, porting it to the studio was relatively quick, probably a matter of days to get the studio up and going.
Yeah, I was actually gonna mention you might want to update that on the site because right now only the Mbed OS CLI is mentioned.
Okay.
So seeing as though it's on the studio now, that might be a good addition there for developers to be aware of.
Yeah, we're trying to add as much support as we can to make it easy, and things are kind of moving pretty quick. So good catch there.
Yeah.
There's also a question in the comments from Carlo. He asks if it works with the online Mbed Studio, and I just wanted to say that we haven't looked at that closely yet.
Yeah.
But
so I wouldn't expect that to work
on our radar.
I wouldn't expect that to work until the next release of Mbed, where we're inside of Mbed. Right now, if you do it locally, you can kind of control your version of Mbed. But you guys might know if you can have more control over that online.
But what you have to do is you have to look into the camera and you have to point at it and you have to say, you saw it here first.
So here's just the basic Blinky example that we got up and running. If I can, am I holding it in front of the camera? I'm trying to.
You're doing good.
Okay. I can't really see the preview because I only have one monitor on this computer right now. So hopefully you guys were able to see it blink. But I think I'll probably, I had another serial example, but I think I might just skip ahead to a little bit more of an interesting example, which uses BLE. So I actually have this one ready already. So this is BLE LED. If we just take a brief look, the point of this example is it runs this demo, and in the demo, it'll init the Bluetooth, and then it'll create this LED service, and it calls this function on data written when we write data to it. And if we take a look at that, it'll print what we write, and then it'll actuate an LED based off of the value. So if I go ahead and put that on now, this one I already have compiled, so it's quite a bit faster.
Nice.
So something you can see is Mbed Studio. It'll open up a COM port for you. So pretty convenient, and that's what you're seeing down at the bottom of the screen. So we can see already here, once it's done initting, it'll print the MAC address. So that's what it's doing there. And let me go ahead and open up on my phone and connect to it.
You're using the NRF Connect app?
Yes.
Fantastic software by Nordic that really works well for debugging BLE and everything revolving around that. Allows you to act as a central or peripheral device using your phone.
Yeah, so this is a basic example, but I've connected to it and I wrote the value of 1, and you can see that on the serial value of 0. And if I can try and hold this up to the camera. Are you guys able to see that? 1.
Oh yeah.
And 0. So kind of a basic Bluetooth example, but I guess I just wanted to say it's kind of sky's the limit, right? So we wanted to have some basic examples of Bluetooth running, and one of the exciting things of these things is being able to see what the community is able to create. But I did want to point out Mbed has a repo that has a bunch of examples on it. This is actually where I grabbed the LED example from, and there's all kinds of examples here. So I guess I wanted to give a little shout out to that. If you just look up the Mbed OS BLE examples, that's where I got that example from. And if you wanted to try out all these examples, go for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was really cool. I mean, it's nice to see, how all this comes together. Like we were talking about the fact that there's been a pull request that's been just merged today. So it's nice to see this in action and actually see the results of all the work that you guys have been doing with the Mbed team support. So yeah, really cool. Really excited to hear from the community and see what people come up with. Cool.
Definitely.
So shall we go to Owen then? You got some more stuff to show, right?
Yeah, so I am going to kind of take that embed layer that Kyle showed off, and I want to show how it is utilized behind the scenes under the hood in Arduino IDE. So let me just get myself set up here to share screen. And we've got over here, I don't know, can everybody see what I'm doing now?
Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic. So the whole reason that we put together Mbed and Arduino was to support BLE examples. So that's what I want to kind of demonstrate first here. How simple it is once you've set up your Arduino manager to have the board, you'll just go over to the boards section. You'll select which one of the SparkFun Apollo 3 boards you want to use. In this case, we're going to be doing the dev kit. Then you would basically compile, and what I'm doing is with the dev kit, it's a slightly different process. You're going to compile and export the compiled binary to a sketch folder so that you can use the drag and drop programming for that dev kit. If you were using the other boards that have a serial uploader, then you would hit the upload button in Arduino and you would be able to use this, you'd see output like this that confirms that your upload has completed. But in the meantime, we will check out right here the LED example, and it'll take this binary that was built. It's actually still running in the background, but for the sake of the demo, I'm going to take this old one and drag it onto the Artemis. And occasionally, it seems that I have a USB failure, but we plug it back in, drag it on again, and it always works the second time. So we're going to copy that on here, and then you'll see in the output.
It's a feature. It's a feature, not a bug. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just so crazy. You just drag and drop it onto the device.
9600.
Yeah. So we've got the BLE peripheral showing up over here, and previously I've uploaded onto this here. This is the Artemis ATP. It's also going to be running a BLE application. If you see on the other serial monitor, it's connected to this one. Man, this is going to be a lot of stuff to hold up and look around. So I apologize, everyone. But I've set myself up with a little button here, which is the green wire. And when I take it out, it uses an internal pull-up to make it appear as if the pin has gone high. The LED turns on. I hope that's visible. Maybe I'll have to check over on the live stream, but then we'll close that button and it goes off. And this is all happening wirelessly using Bluetooth. The beauty of this is that it all goes on the Arduino BLE library, and Arduino BLE makes it incredibly easy to set up your own BLE server on a peripheral and create services. You can see that they simply instantiate a BLE LED service here. the setup is simple. You set the local name, you add characteristics and services, and then you set an initial value. Over here, you see that it can easily check whether a central is connected and then respond to events when characteristics are modified. And it just takes this complicated subject of BLE and all the flyby, callback, scheduling, all this stuff that you have to do. It simplifies it down into an easy to understand and portable solution in Arduino for everybody to use.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. I've got more, but if there are questions, we can take a moment and talk about that.
Well, I mean, I think we all got a lot of questions, but I'm also seeing questions from the chat saying, when is the ML coming up? So I think maybe given the time, we should just,
Sure.
you've got that running. We could show everyone how the ML examples are running on the board as well.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Now, let me just go in here briefly. We don't have time to show the compilation or anything of a full TensorFlow demo, but I do want to show you that if you go to the TensorFlow repo and you drill down into the micro speech example, you can see that we've had support for the SparkFun Edge board and Apollo 3 microcontrollers for quite some time. And what I'll be demonstrating in this example is this same kind of yes, no identification, but it'll be running on the SparkFun Artemis Dev Kit board. So that will be happening over here. And right here, I have my compiled binary. And I'm going to drag and drop it into my Artemis board. See the programming occur here. And then the output will be right here. And it's probably going to recognize unknown speech until I start saying yes, no, no, yes. So this is just one of the 3 machine learning demos that are supported on the Artemis board by the sensors that are on board. So we've got the microphone, which allows you to do this demo with micro speech. And we've got the accelerometer, which Kirk mentioned is good for the magic wand demo or the gesture recognition. And then finally, we've got a camera as well. And that's the other, well, I wanted to demonstrate these 2 sensors as well. So we have a binary that was built using the SDK. And I can just drag and drop that onto the Artemis. And you can see we've got my different acceleration values. And we've also got the temperature. I'm going to put my thumb on the temperature sensor and we can watch in that final column, you just watch the temperature rise. This is not doing any detection or recognition classification using machine learning. It's just a raw stream of data, but it's to demonstrate the onboard hardware that you get. And then finally, we'll do the camera example as well. And we can take a picture. So you'll see it starts with a auto calibration. And I'm going to save this as capture 1. And hopefully we'll get a picture of me here doing a thumbs up. There, so it's taken the image and now it has to stream the data out over the serial port, which takes a minute because it's a fairly large image with an 8-bit grayscale depth. So what we're doing is basically streaming this to this capture file, and then we're going to run this raw to bmp.py Python script, which will convert it to an image that we can see live. And now let me stop the connection. Let's go to the terminal here and convert capture1.txt. Ah,
hey. Oh,
so there we are, my live
looking cool
from that camera. You can see it's not a particularly high resolution, but that's what you want for machine learning, because having any more information than that would just cause it to take longer to do a conversion. So yeah, there you go, everybody. That's the sensors on board, a little demo of machine learning on the Artemis Dev Kit, drag and drop programming, and everything fun that you have looking forward to when you try it out.
Awesome.
And it seems like it's all there. Yeah.
Funny comment here from Patrick saying that the camera data makes you look slimmer.
Thanks, Patrick.
Well, I need one of those.
ML takes off that.
One question I've got quickly is, so if someone wants to replicate some of the stuff that you've done, where can they go to find the examples, source code, and everything else?
Great question. There are 3 really good places. I don't know if I should put links in the comments or in where would the best place be to share links? I want to share links to TensorFlow, to our Arduino repo, and to Mbed, where they can find.
Yeah. We'll add them to the YouTube video, but also if you could share them with us on the chat here, we could put them up here now.
Oh, fantastic! Okay.
And so, Alessandro, while Owen shares these links with us and we get those put into some banners, do we want to let Kirk maybe announce the? We have 3 minutes left, and we might be able to go a few minutes over, but let's maybe let Kirk announce the promo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so part of today, we released the board yesterday. We have a promo code you can use on SparkFun.com, Artemis 2020. It gives you a better look at it. It gives you 10% off any SparkFun original. So our red boards, we'll give you a discount on those. Not just the dev kit, but any of our original red boards. That's available through October, I believe, and that's available now. So head on over to SparkFun, buy some products, get a little discount. And again, it's Artemis 2020. It's up on the screen here. And really looking forward to seeing how people use this new software, this new technology, what creative things people can do with Bluetooth, and let us know. We love to hear from the community. And also that's just like, here's what I did, but also wouldn't it be nice if we could do X, Y, and Z, because that helps set our product direction. We can't come up with all the great ideas at SparkFun. We really get some of the key solutions and key concepts from our customers and our partners. So I think that's it. Really just enjoy the promo code, buy some SparkFun originals. And again, if you have feedback, questions, comments, send them our way. Happy to look at new future solutions.
Yeah, we put together a little bit.ly link here as well. So if you want to go directly to the Artemis board, you can go to bit.ly/Artemis Coffee. Oh, my camera's glitching. Artemis Coffee, and then use the Artemis 2020 promo there. Add in all the cool SparkFun boards that you want with that order too. Awesome. Kirk, Kyle, Owen, this is just awesome. I mean, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing the promo code and sharing all these demos and all the cool stuff about SparkFun and Artemis.
Absolutely. Thank you tgentlemen. Thanks to the ARM team, the Mbed OS team for working with us, getting our code in. It was a great experience. And we look forward to doing more in the future. Absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to all the great developments that are going to come out of this. So I'm excited to see. I'm going to start following your forums. I haven't done so yet. So I'm going to start following your forums to see what's going on in the community. I'm excited.
Cool. I'll see you out there. And
yeah, I'm going to see you, right? Liquid
Thank
Solder.
you, Alessandro. Yeah, we appreciate you guys having us on here and getting the chance to talk about the merging of Mbed and Apollo 3. It's been awesome.
Awesome.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah. So are we closing this out, Alessandro? Because I want to give one last thing on this.
Actually, there is one important announcement also that we wanted to make, or actually a big thanks to SparkFun team before we close off. I was about to forget this actually, but actually we wanted to thank the SparkFun team because they've actually provided all the hardware for Dev Summit. So our big conference happening in October, beginning of October 6th. From the 6th to the 8th of October. So if you follow this link, this is a blog from SparkFun that talks about the conference and the hardware that they put together for us. So thank you again. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Owen and Kyle. A pleasure to work together.
Yeah, I want to echo.
Thanks everybody.
Echo that real quick. Thank you everyone for joining. And then also, just as Alessandro already mentioned, look at the description below. You'll have access to all of the links, every single thing that we've shared throughout the episode. will be available in the description below. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode, we're going live again next week. Okay, so we'll be here same time, same place, same YouTube channel. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to see more from SparkFun, comment on the video, and maybe Kirk, Kyle, and Owen will join us again sometime in the coming months.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Great.
All right.
Guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Check
Thanks,
it out.
everybody.
Thank you so much
Thank
to you
you.
guys, and thank you to the audience for listening in.
Thank you.
Yes.
Totally. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.